Well, I just ended the first Zoom meeting, and I had intended to record it, but apparently the recording got corrupted in some way or another. So here I am re-recording essentially the basic concepts for those that missed the meeting. Because of my intro video and the fact that the VLab was not functioning properly in that first intro video, I'm going to go ahead and make another video just to show you how to access that. I have a document online in the accessing the VM module, but just for the sake of making sure that everybody's on the same page, I'm going to record this to show you how to do that. Now, I was giving you slightly incorrect information. The URL to access VLab is vlab.yccnt.org/UI. So I forgot to add the / and that was in part what was causing my problems. Now, at this point, you're going to sign in with CMT 120- and then your student number. Now, 25 is not used, but I have access to that one. Where you can find your student number is if you sign in and go to Canvas, and then you click on your course, CNT 120. I've added a link to it right on the desktop, you'll see. Or I guess I didn't add that link yet. But you can access it here. You go to modules and then you find student number here, and you'll see your name, whatever your student number is listed right next to it. If you have a one-digit student number, add a 0 in front, put a leading 0. So if you're number 1, put 01. If you're number 2, put 02, and so on. So I'm using 25 since we only have 11 students. So that way I'm not using somebody's student number. The password for this VM is going to be password 01 with a capital P. That will not save. Now, this is browser independent, so you do not have to use Chrome, but I recommend that you use Chrome. Now, I shut that down so I can show you what you'll see when you first sign in. So this is kind of what you'll see the first time you log into this vSphere client portal. So you'll need to expand these little drop downs here, and then you'll come to your virtual machine down at the very bottom. Once you're here, you'll notice that your VM will be powered off. You need to click on this green play button in order to boot up your virtual machine. So once you click on that, it'll turn your machine on. Then you can click this box that says Launch Web Console. Do not use the Launch Remote Console because you will need a VMware account and you need to pay for the software. So rather than that, just click on Launch Web Console. It'll pop up this little Launch Console dialog box asking you again how you want to do it. Keep the Web Console checked or selected. You can check the box that says Remember My Choice if you like. I usually just don't. I click OK. So now you're brought into your virtual machine here. This is where you're going to do all of your labs. Now it says press Ctrl-Alt-Delete to unlock. If you actually press Ctrl-Alt-Delete on your keyboard, excuse me, it will your host computer will read that as a Ctrl-Alt-Delete for the host computer, and I will demo that. There you go. Well, I guess you're looking at the wrong screen. I've got two screens. So it brings up the actual Control-Delete menu, and it doesn't do anything in the VM. So you have to use this button up here where it says Send Control-Delete up in the upper right-hand corner. You can click on that and then enter your password. Again, this password is password 01 with a capital P. Please be sure not to change that because occasionally I may need to sign on to your virtual machine, and if you change that, then it'll make a little bit more trouble for me getting onto your VM. So I need that to stay the same. Or if you do change it for some reason, email me. You might be asked to, according to, no, I don't think so actually. I think the policy for password changes is not enforced on these VMs. So you don't, even so, our semester is short enough, you shouldn't be within the window of having to change the password. Server Manager is what the first lab focuses on, is introducing you to this Server Manager where you, in Windows Server, this is where you do a lot of the basic stuff. Now you install different roles and features, and this is where you do that. Now roles and features are, different things, different elements of how Windows Server functions and how you can use it for different purposes, but this is where you would go initially when you're first setting up a Windows Server. There's quite a bit you can do in here. The first lab asks you to, okay, so that's something I want to take a look at really quickly, is accessing or doing the labs, how to properly do the labs. Because I'm so easy on you with the review questions, you'll notice there's multiple attempts, which this one should be edited. I should change that right now, because they all should allow for 3 attempts. So let me fix that since I'm noticing it. Quick distraction, but that is fixed now. So every single review question allows for, multiple attempts. However, the labs are 1 attempt. You can only submit them 1 time. There's no time limit on them, whereas the review questions do have time limit. But I'm a little bit more strict on how I grade these, because I'm inclined to believe that following instructions is more important in terms of, if you were doing this as a career, you need to be able to follow the instructions that you're given. If your boss says set the IP address to this, you need to set the IP address to that, right? And if you don't, and you just, go through, whimsically and without following any kind of procedure, that's where you get into trouble in a career. So I think it's kind of key that when you're doing your labs, you need to set those habits now. So I insist heavily on following instructions closely. So for instance, Activity 1-1, determining Windows Server 2016 edition. The third step, it says here, turn in a screenshot after completing step 3, and hopefully you all know how to do that. I have a little required assignment to make sure that everybody's in the class, first of all, and that they know how to do a screenshot, second of all. But once you do that, step 3 is, step 1 is initially opening Server Manager. Step 2 is clicking on local server. I believe, let me verify, I've got my textbook right here. And hopefully everybody has their textbook. Sorry, step 1 is signing into Windows Server, step 2 is clicking on Server Manager, and step 3 is clicking on local server. So at this point you are ready for a screenshot. Now I don't care if you want to screenshot the entire thing, or if you just want to take a screenshot of the portion that is relevant to the lab. It might be better for you if you do the whole thing. That way I can see if you got off a step or something like that. I can recognize it. I will dock points if you don't take a screenshot on the right step. So if it says take a screenshot after step 3, you've done step 3. Now you're ready to go in and access snipping tool and take your screenshot. Now snipping tool is kind of cool. It's got different modes. I recommend using the window snip and then just and then doing that. Whoops. If you select window snip, click new. Why is it not doing it? Click new, and then I believe you have to hit enter, maybe. Oh geez, oh, there it is. You just click on the window that you want to select. And you notice it takes a full screenshot. That guarantees that you're getting everything, if you missed a step or you did it at the wrong step. You know what I mean? Plus, you know, whatever the case may be, you can doodle on this, you can underline, you know, and say, oh, there's, you know, the pertinent information. You know, this lab is about finding out what version of server I'm running. So there it is, you know. So you can do that and then submit that to me. As long as you have the entire thing, you can't go wrong. Plus, it shows that you're not finding anything on the internet. Now, if you do just want to take a freeform snip where you, whoops, let's pull snipping tool up again. Shouldn't have closed that. Now, if you want to do a freeform snip or a rectangular snip or something like that, where you just get the pertinent information, that's fine. But I will be looking for particulars. And sometimes you might take a picture of something thinking it's pertinent and realize, oh shoot, it was actually something else that I needed to take a screenshot of. So it's best, in my opinion, to just do the whole thing. So that's sort of a long and short of saying that. All right, I've got about 5 more minutes before I lose everybody. Here's something else. It's really important, especially in Chapter 1, that you use the correct IP address information. The book has different information. Make sure you follow the information here. I will dock points for incorrect IP addresses. Okay. I think that's the gist of it. One more thing I need to mention. Now, every single activity that is mentioned needs to be done. Not every single activity that is mentioned requires a submission. Okay, notice it says complete the specified activity, activity 1-1, and then it says turn in a screenshot. Some of them say no file submission required. Just because it says that does not mean that you will not be graded on whether or not you did that. If you failed to do that activity, there are later labs, you know, full disclosure, first couple of chapters you can probably get away with it. But as you get further on in the class, you'll realize, oh shoot, I didn't do 1-3 and it screwed me up. So now I don't know the proper information, or I don't have the proper settings to do 3-5 or whatever. That's just an example. I don't know exactly which ones that applies to off the top of my head, but I know that if you skip these ones that are asked, then you will be missing required information for later. Plus, you'll be missing the actual experience of having done these things. So now, that being said, if it's not listed, you don't have to do it. So for instance, right here, 1-4, 1-5 is not listed, and then it goes to 1-6. So you don't have to obviously do 1-5. So you only have to do the labs that are listed. You're welcome to do every single lab if you want. That's your call. There's nothing preventing you from doing that as far as I'm concerned. That won't affect your ability to complete the class. So you are more than welcome to do every single lab if you want. But you have to do every lab that's listed in order for future labs to work properly. Some of them, that doesn't necessarily apply, and if you skipped them, I would never know. But I'm not going to tell you which ones those are, and you're going to have to just plan on doing them all. All right, so that should cover the labs. Now, if you have questions for me, again, I need to stress the importance of the fact that we will be having Zoom meetings, and they will be at 5:30 every Monday night. So if you do have questions, if you find that you get stuck on things, again, you're more than welcome to email me. The Zoom meetings are voluntary, but I recommend that you jump in there so that I can give you a little bit of extra information, help you out with that stuff. Alrighty, so I think that's where we're going to end it now, and we're just under 15 minutes, which is perfect. So, thank you.